topic of our discussion is shopping in Web 3.0. And with me on stage, I have a very exciting set of entrepreneurs and speakers who are building disruptive retail brands, but with technology at the core of it. So without further ado, I'd like to start and request all our speakers to maybe take 30 seconds and give us a quick introduction of yourselves. We can start with Aastha.
Hi, I'm Aastha Almast, and I'm the co-founder of the new shop. So people who are from down south, where we've not disrupted yet, we are now India's largest 24 hours open convenience retailer. And we're building the very popular convenience retail model, which is like a $3 trillion industry globally to India. And are excited that now others are also waking up in 7-Eleven and Circle K's, and the guys are also expanding in India. We are at about 120 stores and on path to open 150 stores by the end of the year. 500 stores by the end of the year. We're on a full-fledged franchise model. So our entire vision with building the new shop is how do we empower entrepreneurship in India, and how do we provide people a safe business to operate and run, considering 85% of Indians want to be entrepreneurs. So that's about the new shop. We're a completely end-to-end tech-enabled platform. We're just a team of 10 people operating 120 stores, and we'll be operating 500 stores in the future. We built everything from scratch because omni-channel retail tech did not really exist in India, probably didn't exist in the world, and India has a very unique problem. You want not only the best solutions, but you also want them the cheapest. So we had to build everything from scratch and make it affordable for our franchise partners. So our tech POS is actually just at about $10,000. So that's the kind of innovation we built in retail, and I'm glad to be invited by ETRetail to be talking here today. Thanks.
So my name is Pradeep Krishnakumar. I'm the co-founder of a brand called Zouk. At Zouk, we're building a modern Indian lifestyle brand. All our products are PETA-approved vegan, and second, proudly Indian. Not just because they're made in India, but also very India-inspired in our designs and prints. We operate in the bags, wallets, and footwear category, predominantly for women. Some of our products have organically appeared in the movie Sherni, in the Netflix series Little Things 3, in Bade Achhe Lagte Hain 2, etc. We have about 4 lakh plus happy customers, around 260K plus followers on Instagram. So very online heavy brand, now sort of expanding on the offline side, and very, very happy to be here and be part of this discussion. So thank you, ETRetail, to invite me for this. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Manoj. I'm not a co-founder. I'm working for a company called Burger King. Now the company name has changed to Restaurant Brand Asia Limited. I'm majorly taking care of complete IT for Burger King India. We have operation in Indonesia as well. So I'm actually taking care of India part of it. Yes, we are available across the channel. We are available in online. We are available with aggregator channels. We have our offline stores across pan India. So that's it. That's all about me. So good afternoon once again to everyone.
Great. Thank you, everyone, for the introduction. And Web 3.0 as a concept is still very nascent to the Indian retail space. And before we talk about the benefits and challenges associated with it, I think it's important to get our basics right. So I want to start with you, Aastha. In layman terms, what is Web 3.0 with a focus on retail?
So I'm a non-tech founder, and both my other two co-founders are techies, and when they speak in a language, it's very difficult to translate it to my staff and my investors. So I've learned it, how do I educate a 10-year-old or maybe a 5-year-old and my grandmother on what Web3 is. So let's start with what Web 1 is, right? So Web 1 was like the initial invention of internet, which was, think of it like a broadcasting agent, like static websites that would just be used for giving out information, maybe like a one-way traffic street, like single lane, only one way of information to flow through, which was disrupted by the Facebooks of the world, where Web 2 happened, and then it became a two-way street. Two people would use a platform to interact with each other, and hence social media platforms and a lot of user-generated content came into being. Now that's Web 3. Web 2. Web 3 is when everything got intelligent, and that intelligence happened behind the scenes, and this was machine intelligence, right? There was so much data and content that was being shared, by people, that things like privacy, things like data protection, or where do I even find all the data, became a challenge. And that's when the best innovation in internet ever happened, which is Web3, where data privacy and all became the forefront problem, and blockchain as an underlying technology that was created, which is like a digital form of ledgers where people are, where records are being stored, except it's not being stored at a platform which is controlled by somebody like a Facebook or a Google or an Amazon. It's decentralized. It's not controlled by anyone, and it's owned by everyone. So that's Web3, and every innovation that we talk about, from blockchain to crypto to now our ChatGPT, is all the innovation of Web3.
Great, great. I think, Aastha, you have beautifully explained the concept. And this brings me to my next question for you, Pradeep. What does the term decentralized marketplaces, that's largely associated with Web3, entail? And what does it actually mean when we say that all the intermediaries will be removed from the system? If you can explain that to us.
Sure. So I think, like we were discussing prior to sort of the panel, right? All of this is very new, right? We also at Zouk are not adopting any of this today, right? But the hope is, as things sort of progress, we would be adopting, right? From a sort of today, when we look at just distribution itself, right? And I think two parts to sort of the whole decentralized thing. One is on distribution and another is on logistics, right? These are two parts I want to talk about, right? Distribution today is controlled by a few major parties, right? Through which we are dependent. Of course, D2C is something we control from our own website point of view, but getting people to the website is still controlled by a few large players, right? So I think when we move to decentralization, those distribution channels get completely dismantled, hopefully, right? Or more options come for customers. That means better pricing, more options, etc., right? And the second bit on the power of what blockchain brings to logistics is also immense, because today, for any item, be it a finished good or a raw material that we procure from different parts of India, or for many brands from different parts of the world, logistics has multiple steps and multiple ways of sort of managing the ledger itself, right? Which are controlled by a few parties. Once it becomes decentralized, it just opens up a lot more lot of efficiencies, which all translates into, as Aastha said, cost savings, which some of it might be passed to consumers, some of it passed into sort of bottom lines of companies, right? So that's what is the expectation from the entire decentralization that Web 3.0 will bring in.
Okay, okay, noted. Manoj, I want to understand from you, with buyers and sellers interacting directly, right? What would you add to the list of benefits that Pradeep just shared, and how realistic is this to achieve?
Absolutely. So like what Aastha just mentioned, like the overall technology bit possible, like how the technology basically works. So if you know the Web 2, largely like it was like a suggestive selling. So whenever you go to any website, or probably you just search something, you'll be able to see in every website. Same thing is floating everywhere. So sometimes that is it's like a bombarding to the customer. So with this technology, the three benefit that I foresee, one is like, of course, the security and data privacy. So what is happening, so everybody will work on their own private tokenization system. So like this entire system works on the public tokenization and private tokenization. So what is happening, like when you have your own data, when you have your own private tokenization, so this will be like completely uniquely for yourself. So wherever you're browsing, like be it your Facebook, any other social media page or any other channel, so you'll be carrying your own tokenization. So one, the security will be enhanced, since it's like encrypted, so it's and also decentralized, so nobody easily able to understand where exactly your data is residing. So one is like from the ransomware attack or from hacking attack point of view, you will be completely secured. The second piece is like, of course, is the fastest solutions, because it's everywhere across. So what is happening, like when you install, it's like when you use your largely the technology, when you have your across the locations, like you have multiple data center right now. So when you are accessing that same application from one location to other locations, you'll have seamless experience. So that is an additional major benefit for a customer point of view. It's like it's a block, how the blockchain works. Like, you have a block in one locations, the same block actually is spread to across the chains. So wherever you go, the block actually is spreading to across other locations as well. So that is the another benefit for a customer's perspective. The third is like what Pradeep just mentioned, the cost, So here is what is happening, like you can directly deal with the consumer. and then consumer directly deal with the buyer. So like buyer and seller will have a direct communication. So here what will happen, like you don't have to deal with your local, what is the policy and what is the legal challenges, what is the additional cost that you have to pay. Here you can decide between the buyer and seller and you can do that transaction. So 3 major benefit I foresee with this technology, and I'm sure this will going to be evolve the internet world very soon.
Wonderful. I think I really like the point that you highlighted on cybersecurity that we can see unfolding. Aastha, I have a question for you here. In terms of benefits with Web3 and how commerce gets decentralized, what benefit can we expect in terms of product authenticity? Yeah.
So product authenticity has been a big challenge in Web 2. We buy stuff from Amazon, we don't even know if the Nike shoe that is shown as a Nike shoe is actually a Nike shoe. But of course, Web3 solves for a lot of product authenticity issues. And of course, number one is the trust factor that's built, because nobody centrally controls the data, but everybody verifies data together, right? So it's a community moderation sentiment. So it's not just one person, because these are like digital ledgers that are stored at multiple places, multiple blocks. Because of that, there are multiple validation points and multiple checkpoints, right? That's like obviously the most obvious benefit. The second thing is, people hear about things like NFTs and all. Basically, all of that is smart contract. So, we all, as a retailer, I sign a lot of terms of trade with my vendors. The problem that is that there's a term of trade that got signed. Whether it's gotten executed or not, I don't know. I'm not actively following, if the payment went on exactly that particular date, even though we have the best tech in place. But did the vendor actually do return to vendor, or did they adhere to the policy? Did it get executed to the minutest of details? The big problem that retailers today face is the problem with weights and measurement department. And it's actually, unfortunately, a criminal offense. So if, say, a particular brand mentioned in their packet that it's 90 grams, and if it's 89 grams, I can go to jail for that. It's really stupid at 120 stores. How is it possible that I'll actually weigh each and everything, and it's franchise owned? But I, as a director of the company, go to jail. So it's total bullshit. But with Web3, the implication and application of smart contracts like this is that that contract is validated through digital sources, again, in multiple blocks. So you can very easily identify that this contract has been executed in the right manner at multiple touch points, right, or multiple blocks. So wherever the problem is, it just gets rejected right there and then. And you can also, it's a code, right? So you can also create codes to penalize the people who are not following the contracts at all stages. So problem like this in a marketplace where weights and measurement department is chasing me will not happen. I think the third thing is people can't just go temper with the record that has been saved, right? I think the technical word my co-founders use, immutable. You can't, it's immutable records. It basically means that somebody, like, in Amazon, if an employee decides to just go at the back end and make changes into the platform and change the pricing, that can't be done, right? If somebody decides to give your data out of Facebook, one of their employees, to the people, it can't be done. So the records cannot be tampered with in Web3. And that's why the authenticity is actually validated at all these multiple touch points, and you can't just change anything. However, it also has drawbacks, right? Because there is the control is with no one. That's also a challenge, which is why the government is thinking so many times whether we should legalize this or not legalize it. Just imagine in a world where nobody has any control. How do you enforce law and regulation? How do you do any kind of regulation at all? And whether it's terrorism, whether it's any sorts of illegal activities, you can't technically, they say there's honor among thieves. So the terrorism activities would go very smoothly without anyone getting to know about it. But how do you control? So these are some real challenges that a decentralized system bring with it, and which is why it's not totally been accepted and legalized yet.
Great, great. I really like the pointers that you highlighted, and it's in a way looking at traditional concept with a new lens, and it will be very interesting to see how all of this unfolds in the retail space. Pradeep, I have a little spicier question for you. With Web3, could we actually see the lines between social media and commerce blurring with integration across every possible vertical trend coming in?
Yeah, so I think so this is very interesting, right? So Web3 has probably 4 layers. One is blockchain that we've all sort of spoken about and allows for traceability of, like Nike, for example, doesn't want to give inferior products, but it's so hard to trace back which factory and where was made, etc. So I think blockchain enables that. Second is around cryptocurrency itself, which currently the government is sort of working around that. But imagine as a brand, if I can say, hey, I'm accepting cryptocurrency, I just start looking more cooler to a certain segment of the audience, right? So there is a brand play to the entire thing, over and above different studies talking about how adoption of cryptocurrency makes buy now, pay later easier, and allows us to sort of sell higher AOV products and all of that, right? The third layer is around NFTs itself, right? And now the big challenge for two of us here, right, which might not be there for a platform like Netflix, for example, is it's very hard for us to give something for free, right? Because there is a physical fulfillment of a product that needs to be done, right? And NFT allows us to sort of do that and give a flavor. So for example, in our space, Gucci now offers Gucci handbags in the metaverse, right? It doesn't cost much to deliver that item, right? It's like a software product, right? If I have to call it high 90-95% gross margin sort of a product, right? It allows them to get a flavor of that, and then they might enjoy it in the metaverse and come and buy in the physical world, right? Now that completely blurs the lines. Today, what we are doing is we are having our social media talk about it, and influencers talk about it. Some brands have celebrities talking about it to build that craze around that brand and the product. But imagine if you can, in your metaverse, carry a Zouk bag and say, hey, this is so cool, let me buy it in the physical world, right? That's complete disruption, and that's something I would really love, because it's tough for us as a category to offer free trials, right? There are some industries in the consumer space that can still offer free trial, right? But for us, it's super hard. But Web 3.0 allows us to do that, and that is completely turning the game completely around for us as marketers who think about P&L and how to get more customers, etc. This is the most exciting bit. And of course the fourth part is around how AI is revolutionizing everything, and chat GPT-3. Now we have, I think I just read today that Myntra is starting chat GPT-3 driven search, right? So they've also started adopting it. So we're going to face it real time, and it's not going to be an hey try karte hain kya hai ye new cheese that everybody is talking about. It's going to be really, you're going to search for handbags, and hopefully ChatGPT throws Zouk as the first result, hopefully, right? But that but that's what is going to happen and change everything that we do, right? So that's how we look at what's going to happen in the whole sort of social media and commerce space for us.
I think your pointers set a very motivating and exciting outlook for the entire retail market, right?
Actually, let me sort of say this loud. The panel pushed me to read more, right? Because we're all stuck in the revenue, CAC, gross margin, EBITDA game day in and day out, right? So it really pushed me to read more, and now I'm getting educated by all of them, right? So thank you so much for keeping this as the topic of this discussion, very honestly.
I think I have my headline here. Thank you so much. So at the center of all of these conversations, Manoj, is data, right? One application of data which I foresee is the customer with Web3 will get more power over its data, right? Will this help brands to give more tailored and targeted offerings, or could it actually be a roadblock?
Frankly speaking, no. I don't see it's going to be a roadblock for both of them. In fact, for whether it is your customer or also the seller, because see, if you see in the current scenario, the data is coming from multiple channels, and we have over the period of years we have actually generated and gathered like huge number of data. And the problem is here, like, how do we process this data? And what are the and what is happening today, like every time whenever I'm buying something, probably I go to the website, I'll put my name, I'll subscribe for something, then again, some message will coming, then there are a lot of messages coming. So what is happening, the real content that you want to share or that you want to personalize for any individual, it just get faded. And then people get frustrated, okay, what is this, too much of messages are coming to them. So with this kind of AI technology, so what is going to be happen here is so when you have a data, and when you know whether data is coming from it, when you understand the customer behavior over the channel, it is not like just buying from offline and leave it, because there is online that you're going to do it. Probably you'll be going to use third-party aggregator channel. From there also you're going to do the shopping. So all this information, once you have in your system, and when you have the AI and ML technology, you will be able to understand exactly what this data going to help, and what exactly as a customer you want it, your behavior, your sentimental, your needs and want. I don't want to just give you, segment information to everyone. So that is going to be see, that is the current is the bottleneck, because if you see in our kind of a business, we have aggregators. Aggregator has a limitation, so they said like we can't share the customer data, which is fine, because they have their compliance and which they don't want to share it, and also the data privacy point of view, it's of course they are absolutely right there. But in our case here, if I have to understand any customer sentimental or behavior, I'll not be able to understand, because he might go to the my aggregator channel. He's also buying the same burger from my other offline stores. So exactly where we went wrong, what exactly he needed, because retention, that is also very critical here aspect. So see, acquiring customer is easy. Retentionship is very difficult. For any customer, like if you don't follow them properly, if you don't actually understand their behavior, you're not going to survive. And for any brand image, it's very important to understand the customer behavior. So that is where actually this information, and as you said, like it's the blockchain, everything's information is available, cloud-based, and the technology, the process will be very faster. And in the overall speed point of view, if I'll talk about it, the customer as an endpoint, he will have the complete information. He will not have a lot of information which he don't want it. So that where we can able to tailor it, we can able to customize it, what exactly this information I have to share to that particular customer. So I guess this is going to be really helpful, and of course there are a few challenges that we foresee as of now, because it is still evolving phase. We don't know what could be the repercussion, what could be the cumbersome challenges that we will probably face when we do this implementation. But yes, as of now I can see with the help of ChatGPT, and end of the day it's AI technology, with the ML, with the blockchain, probably we'll be able to understand and we'll be able to create a proper tailored campaign for any customers.
Okay. No, wonderful insights, Manoj, and it's funny that you highlighted the problem of over personalization, right? And I really think almost everyone sitting here in the audience would relate to that as customers, and we need to have a separate panel discussion on that.
Absolutely.
So, Aastha, I want to come to you and understand the opportunity with Web3 on a very critical trend, especially with brands that tend to cater Gen Zs today, which is sustainability and transparency in your product sourcing across your supply chain, right? So what are your thoughts on this, and how do you see Web3 contributing to this?
So as far as sustainability is concerned, there was this news article floating around a few days ago that to answer 20 to 50 questions, ChatGPT needs 1 bottle of water of 500 ml. And I don't think that is very sustainable, because these guys are drinking more water, and they need fresh water, by the way, not salt water, because their data centers need fresh water to keep running, and salt water can corrode and maybe cause all sorts of bacterial growth. So as far as the technology is concerned, it has very bad carbon footprint, and it is not currently sustainable. Of course, billions of dollars are being spent on the tech to make it sustainable, but it's drinking our water. So, it's a long way to make it a sustainable technology. But in the terms of application, I think Pradeep mentioned that your supply chain can, when you make the entire supply chain on the blockchain technology, you can literally track pretty much, for the vegan guys, for people who are environmentally conscious, where the product was made. A lot of brands, and I deal that with a lot of brands, they mention, we're a natural brand. And then when you read between the lines, it's just made of like 50% natural products. So FSI licenses are also like so haywire. You can just put like 50% or maybe 2 natural ingredients and claim to be a natural brand, and nobody's coming after you. But a conscious customer is aware of this. And we're seeing a lot of that in Gen Z customers. And I think supply chain, blockchain implementation in supply chain will tell them really what the brand is and what it's made of, and clarify the whole picture. But we don't need to worry. Till crypto gets officially adopted, there's no blockchain that is going to have widespread adoption in India. I think the only few things that I see adoption is supply chain. You can blockchain the entire supply chain part. NFTs, especially like in stuff like Zouk, right, or expensive brands. People have these warranty cards, and I at least lose all my warranty cards, and I'm sure so will so do most of the people. So we sell electronics and gadgets at our stores too, and people keep coming to us, you send that warranty card on the email, but I've lost it. So that is where that's my contribution to my tech team. We could make NFTs. People can say that I'll search on my email, but then you can also search on Google. Why do you need ChatGPT, right? But that's why we need the other application would be to save these expensive items have bills and warranty cards. You can move them to NFTs. And I think the third thing is, at least that's something we are actively working on, is tokenization of our digital loyalty, which has application and gives the freedom to customers to not let us know where they're spending the money and what they're doing with the money. Because there's no crypto, there's not too much application, but it's still fancy for the young kids. So I think beyond this, there's not much that's going to happen in Web3 till crypto is officially recognized and legalized in India.
Great, and I will be looking forward to your warranty cards in form of NFTs. Very, very exciting there. Pradeep, I have a slightly different question on what Aastha highlighted. As a vegan brand, what kind of customer feedback that you get, and how do you see the importance of actually tracing, our raw material, our sourcing, and the entire supply chain? Do you actually see it as a very important factor to be considered by customers today?
Yeah, 100%. I think customer are getting more conscious, right? We still feel that India is still going to take a few more years for it to become mainstream. But we've always said, hey, in something as simple as bags, you can always go, cruelty free, right? And to make that promise true, as we scale up, right? 2 years earlier, it was much easier to say, okay, one vendor, very trusted. We visit his factory more often. We check where is he sourcing these things, etc. I think now as we are scaling, I think the ability to trace, etc., is going to be super valuable, right? And I think second also is over a period of time, as we sort of scale, quality is also a very critical aspect. And then if something which is slightly defective reaches a customer, then how do we trace it back to, where did it come from, right? And that's where we see the application of this to be very powerful from leveraging the blockchain in that sense. Because otherwise it's super, super hard to do it, right? And every step you have to embed something, make copies of it, and it's just surprising as businesses how soon something moves from being a software entry to a Google Sheet entry to a notebook entry, right? And it happens at different scales for different businesses. It's not just us, it's not just younger, but even the larger ones, right? So I think all of this can be solved through blockchain as a technology, is how at least we look at it.
Okay, great. Before we wrap up our discussion, I quickly want to get a comment from all of you on the key challenge in terms of Web3 you see. We did discuss some of the challenges, but if you have to briefly highlight, what you think will be the biggest barrier in the adoption and scalability of supply chain in the retail space. And I think we can start with Manoj.
Yeah. So, see, major challenge I think we were talking about earlier before, or what is exactly the challenges? So as we said, it's a blockchain kind of a technology, and it's completely on AI, built on ML. It goes to the multiple data center. So it is decentralized. It is not only the one location that you do it. Okay. So when you so major for me is developments. So if you have since you have your e-commerce channels, your online business, so that you put it on the websites, and when it is on the on one server, it goes to the multiple data center. Since its traceability is impossible in this kind of a technology. So when you do any enhancement or any development, so the replication will take a lot of time to reach to the end level. So that is where the major challenge, because what will happen when you do any changes here, probably the person sitting on the other side, he'll not be able to see the same changes here. So replication will take more time here. And also that is the major challenge I foresee. The second part of it is the understanding and adoption part of it. Because see, we have not even 100% adopted the Web 2. We are still evaluating. We are still coming with a lot of new innovative on the Web 2. AI, ML, cryptocurrency, these are the three things which is of course, is the buzzword across the market. Everybody is wanted to know exactly what exactly this product, what exactly AI, how AI works, because AI is it's like a deep sea. We don't know exactly what exactly you can do it. See, the chatbot, the chat GPT that we are talking about it. Other day, I was just talking to one of my colleagues. He said I want to create a project. Just a basic example. He said I want to create a project of 50 pages. I said like, then you Google it. So you Google it, you'll have a bombarding, you'll have a bunch of information, which is not like specifically tailored or specifically not exactly what you want. That is where AI is going to help, because the more you train the AI, the more it will be intelligent. So that is the one good benefit. But again, this information across available to the everywhere, and whatever you are putting there, of course, somebody is training it, and somebody is also getting this information. So these are the major two challenges. One is like, of course, security-wise, we will be able to the next level, because it's difficult to crack. As I said, like it works on completely on the tokens. So everybody will have their own private token, and then if you are putting on the public, there will be a public token. So there will be exchange will happen. So nobody will be able to hack it. Like it's like you have a PIN number. So of course there will be MFA, there will be two-factor authentication will also be there together with this token. So there are few benefits, but there are the major two challenges that I foresee is like the adoption of this new technology, and then any changes or any development that we do it in the technology is going to be a huge time taken for our application part of it.
Okay. Pradeep, your thoughts?
No, very similar, right? So today we are at Zouk looking at innovation across sort of products, brand, distribution, right? Now we have to add a fourth layer, which is technology, right? Which we started online, so we had to adopt technology. We are very Instagram friendly, Shopify friendly, etc., right? But when it comes to Web 3.0, first we need to understand, then we need to have people who understand it to implement it, etc., right? And any such step function changes can't be half done, right? So you can't say I'm from Web 2.0, I'm at Web 2.2. There is no 2.2. There's either 2 or 3, right? So either you step function it or you fall behind, right? So I think that is the challenge. But I always say, hey, a challenge is an opportunity, because for me, every day if I go to office and there are no problems, I'm worried. Is this the true PNL? There is no way to squeeze more here, no way to squeeze there. So that's the challenge and the opportunity that at least we foresee.
Okay, interesting. Aastha, your thoughts?
So, we all think the world is e-commerce, but the best case scenario, which is China, where the e-commerce penetration is the highest in the world, is 25%. So a country like China, offline is 75%. In India, e-commerce is just barely scratching the surface, about like a 2%. And even in the very developed nations like US and all, it's not being able to, Amazon had to launch their own offline stores. So we live in a world that is predominantly offline or predominantly omni-channel. How do you adopt blockchain to the offline world? And we are a world that is going to be offline, and there's some categories that is getting almost impossible to take off online, right? It's now been established. So I think the biggest challenge here is how are you going to implement that in the offline world? And if you don't even isolate the offline world, even in the omni-channel world, like a company like mine is omni-channel. I can't just serve 10% of my population on a blockchain and not offer the same services to the 90% of my orders, which is on offline, right? So I think omni-channel adoption is not possible in blockchain.
Yeah, presently not. Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I think thank you so much for such honest inputs, and it's a right note to wrap this conversation up. And it will be very interesting to see how the retail landscape evolves as we unlock the benefits, challenges, and adoption of Web3. Great. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today.
Thank you.
And thank you for our audience for being so patient. Thank you.